Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? What's coming next is simply an epic showdown. He could barely believe his eyes, for under the centre's legal terms, he was now deemed history's unluckiest murderer. John insisted he wasn't a killer. Look at my innocent face. Don't cover why he was framed. He fled the lab bravely before his men returned, narrowly escaping being packaged. But little did he know, just as he stepped into the elevator, he was cornered by the suddenly emerging Colin. John thought his cover was blown, only to find out Colin was just checking his drug in. Drop the phone, John. I only heard Red Bull. Suddenly, alarms rang as Colin spoke. Things got wild. His men noticed the big screen footage, forcing John to quickly leave the elevator. The cat and mouse game intensified. Turned to his smart car. Smart tech proved his saving angel. Meanwhile, he swiftly contacted Chief White, ready to lay it all out. He told White that Colin forged the footage to frame him and thwart the crime center's plan. It's like a TV plot. As he spoke, his car was remotely locked down. He was sent back instantly. John kicked the glass out and climbed onto the roof to escape, only for the car to dive into a vertical expressway. He thought, what black tech is this? But it happened fast. He climbed the car side like a rocket, racing toward the car on his right. Just in time, he leaped onto the neighbor building's balcony at the last moment the car turned, temporarily regaining freedom, just like the hero in The Matrix. Ubiquitous red devil recognition devices soon exposed him. Hardly had he joined the subway crowd when his men, like snipers, pinpointed him. Minutes later, John exited the car to be met by armed men like a millionaire falling from the sky. John had to turn around and make a quick getaway. But he hadn't gone far when he ran into SWAT team members with jetpacks. Talk about a plot twist. He knew that once captured, he'd never have a chance to prove his innocence. Don't let it be that easy, John. No worries, flying's a breeze. Seizing the SWAT team's brief lapse, John snatched a stun baton. They had it coming for their carelessness. He jumped up, seized the railing, climbed the apartment's ladder. SWAT took off to intercept. More intense than a movie. But those floating in midair had no solid points to chase from, and everyone just spun around in a comical scene. John simply leapt and wrapped himself around the rising SWAT officer, crashing them both to the ground. Talk about a stroke of luck from heaven. As they neared the ground, John activated the reverse thrust. The two, who should have crashed, sped into the shaft at 100 km/h. They then smashed through the floors of two apartments, successfully escaping their pursuers and giving the residents an unintended surprise. Before he could relax, he encountered Colin, who arrived for support. What a strain of drama. Colin's men had no mercy this time. They aimed their heavy artillery at the fleeing John. Don't shoot, I'm not ready yet. Subtitles, but how could he possibly stand against Captain John? He was completely subdued without even a single fighting chance. Seizing the opportunity, John grabbed a nearby mechanical armor and swung up high. I'd become Spider-Man. Pursuing Colin wasn't going to back down either. He attempted to leap after him, but the two lost balance and fell into an assembling vehicle. What a twin disaster. Just when it seemed John had become one with the vehicle, Colin spun around and nearly fainted in shock. He quickly grabbed a mechanical arm and pulled himself out, while poor John was sealed inside the vehicle. What a pity for the little lab rat. When everyone rushed into the final spray workshop, they couldn't believe John was unharmed inside the locked vehicle. Just like that, under the watchful eyes of all the agents, John drove off in a freshly assembled BYD sports car and vanished into the distance, leaving behind a pair of astonished geezers. Then, John raced out of town on a side road to Dr. Hyman, the prophetic systems inventor of tents. Dr. Hyman told John that the three prophets at the crime center were drug addicts descendants, with damaged brains, and should have died young, yet gained foresight through mutation absurd. Normally, prophets' visions can't be faked, but that doesn't mean John is the killer. Will I be wrong again? Since the prophetic abilities of the three prophets were different, the most powerful one, Agatha, would see different images than the other two. This is what's called the Minority Report, pure complexity. However, Chief White set strict rules from the start to make the crime prevention center seem 100. Illegal. Once a Minority Report is generated, the system deletes it entirely. That's why John couldn't find Agatha's mapped footage. It's a bit cliddy. Trying to get the original report from the prophets was easier said than done. John had to tread carefully. John had to evade the ubiquitous red demon scanners first, then rush to an underground clinic in the slums like a movie scene. With the help of the mob doctor, Dagger, he successfully underwent an eye replacement surgery. Call it being meticulous. But this time, he couldn't enter that. After surgery, John's eyes were thickly bandaged. The doctor warned, no removing for 12 hours, a real visual feast. Otherwise, he might go blind from early light exposure. Before leaving, the doctor gave him a magical potion. What a doctor friend. Under the influence of the drugs, John fell into a deep sleep. 6 hours later, he was suddenly jolted awake by noises outside. He had been sleeping. Meanwhile, the SWAT team assigned to capture him had already arrived downstairs in their spacecraft, a real aerial chase scene. With spacecraft's thermal sensors, they swiftly located all building heat sources. Action time. Even couples who were in the heat of battle had to be checked. It was truly laughable. In just a few minutes, these spider-like scanning robots completed most of the checks. It was just like a sci-fi movie. As the SWAT team captain, John knew how impressive these robots were. So he cleverly stuffed a towel in the door crack to slow down the robots. He was really wise. Then, he quickly climbed down the rope and hid in the bathroom, using ice to create an instant disappearing heat source. What a smart little rascal. But just then, a temperature-emitting bubble popped up, blurring all the scanning robots back. He thought to himself, uh-oh. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click that follow button, and there's more exciting content waiting for you.